Hopefully, I'm live. Okay, I'm gonna have to have chat pulled up on my phone, I think. And I'm also going to need to share that I'm live. Hey, I'm Rusty. Let me post on Instagram with a link. I know this is boring. Thank you to the 4 people that are watching right now. It was so much easier to just do this on Fishtank. Okay, I posted it. Now I'm gonna go on the Fishtank chat. Okay. No, mine and Fun Young's baby is dead. Okay, let me pull up some royalty free Halloween music. I'm really sad to do this and not expect a TTS to come through. Like, I'm on edge for one to come through, and it's just not going to. We like this. How is everyone? Does anyone have a guess what I am for Halloween? The Gooners are gonna love it. Don't worry. Also, guys, I've been slacking really bad on editing the dating stream. If anybody wants to edit that out of the goodness of their hearts for me, please do. What did you say? Would you and boyfriend, if he with your house together, then can it really be like seriously? What do you mean? Would you and boyfriend, if he with your house together? Okay, you're gonna have to reword that, Tony. And I don't have a boyfriend, so I don't know what you mean. I'm trying hot rollers in my hair for the first time. I actually probably need to message this one girl on Discord because she was asking me for makeup advice. Okay, what happened to my music? I gotta loop it. Someone needs to get me Federal Asians contact because I've been sad without all of my Fishtank people. You know what we could do? Let's listen to a creepypasta. Scary Halloween stories. I need something to entertain me anyway, since I can't listen to music on here. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a phone call. One second. I'm gonna be right back. Hey, what's up? I've missed streaming so bad. I just wasn't for sure. I don't know. I was scared that nobody would watch. But I'm happy to have probably, I think, like five of you in here. Yeah, I'm gonna start getting ready soon. I just have to find something to watch. Three true scary trick or treat stories. No. Okay, three truly unsettling Halloween horror stories. Okay, it's only 12 minutes though.
This happened back when I was 17, my last Halloween at home before going away to college. It was Halloween in our peaceful town where nothing bad ever happens. Our house is in the
I
wealthier side of
am.
town, and
No
while
way that's true. I've been working on the season 3 trailer.
our house would be described as gorgeous by anyone not from the area, the real head turner is our next door neighbor's house. It sits on that line of being called just a huge house or a mansion. They always go crazy with their
Guys,
decorations
I
for any
need
holiday,
someone who, out of the
specifically
goodness
Halloween and
of their heart,
Christmas. This
wants
one year was
to
no exception.
edit the
By
dating
October
stream for
1st,
me. It's
they
an
already
hour
had
and a
all their
half
crazy
and it just
decorations
needs
out.
cut up.
Some houses go the cute and
I
innocently
don't know how to
spooky
do that.
route, like with smiling ghosts and blow-up decorations. But our neighbors go the actual scary route, with the fake
Oh
graves,
my
fake
gosh,
bloody
I
body bags,
recognize the
actually
name, but
scary-looking fake
I
corpses,
have the
etc.
hardest time
It
ever
actually draws a
pronouncing
lot
it.
of attention. People know to drive by and take videos,
Ultimatro?
so it's never uncommon to see
How do you
cars just sitting
say
in front of their
that?
house in the middle of the street from time to time.
Do you want to
I'll
edit a
rename my
video for
neighbors'
me?
names to Mike and Donna just to not blow up their
I'm
spots
looking
even
for an
more.
editor
Fast forward to
that wants to
Halloween
work
Day.
for
It was luckily a Friday this year,
crumbs.
so that meant parties and all that could be held on actual Halloween.
No, I need to
My
actually
dog
edit the
Bear
dating
sleeps
stream
downstairs in the
myself.
corner of our dining room, and he woke me up really early morning, like
I've
4
just been
a.m. when it
lazy
was still
since
pitch
Fishtank
black
started
outside.
hiding.
He was barking at something outside. I yelled across the house to shut
Ultimatro.
up,
Okay,
Bear, and my mom came out
Ultimatro.
into the hall and did the same. Bear stopped barking after this, but I had no idea what he was barking at. I fell back asleep quickly after that, then woke up to my alarm like 2 hours later. So I started getting ready for school as my dad was leaving for work, and
Do you
as he
guys have
stepped
any
out onto the
season
front
3
deck, he
predictions
came
for
back in and got
Fishtank?
mad at me and said, "Damn it, Zach, clean up the dog
I
shit."
don't think
He thought I
the
let our
Hawk
dog
to
crap
a
in the front
girl
of the
is
house
gonna
for
be
some
there.
reason. I told him
I
I
think that
definitely
was
didn't
fake,
though.
guys.
He was in a hurry, so he left without more arguing. Next up, it was my turn to leave for school, and as I
My
left the house, I
dogs,
got a whiff of something kind of unpleasant.
they're
I
little,
now
they
knew
like a
what my
yak.
dad was talking about. I didn't see any dog crap anywhere though. Later, when I got home around 2, I still smelt that smell. I had no idea what it was, but it was really starting to stink. My parents
This
were
is my
both at
first time
work,
trying to
and
use
my
hot
parents wanted me
rollers,
to
and I'm
hand out candy
scared.
when trick-or-treaters started coming. It wasn't until around 4 to 5 that they started coming. When I opened the door to the
Oh,
first
let me
few
show you guys
trick-or-treaters, I'd
a
get a
sneak
whiff of
peek
that increasingly horrible
of my
stink, and the
costume.
kids and their parents clearly smelt it too because they were
I'm
all
slutty
commenting
this
on it.
Halloween.
One parent told me it was even worse
I'm a
next door.
schoolgirl.
I started to know whenever to expect the doorbell to ring because I'd hear groups of people pointing out how horrible it smelt. At one point, I saw Mike and Donna in
Season
front of
3
their
will go
house, looking
smoothly with
around.
no
So I went outside
controversy.
and went over to
No
ask them if they
controversy,
smelt
God,
that
I had a
too.
stroke.
But that was hardly a question
Um,
because it got worse on their property. It
that's
clearly was
wishful
coming from the front of
thinking.
their property, but there wasn't any dog crap or
I'm
anything.
wondering the
The smell
ratio
was coming from
of
one of the body
males to
bag
females,
decorations. Only
because
it
they
apparently
mentioned
wasn't a
something about all
decoration.
Indians
The
and
couple
one
had a number of
girl,
fake body
and that would
bags leaned
be
on things like the
so
mailbox and
silly.
their front tree.
I would
But
actually
there was
like
one just
that.
laying flat on the ground, and Mike said to Donna that he didn't put that one there when she asked. The smell was unbearable from this bag. Mike ran to grab a knife and cut the bag open, and what we saw made me sick. He of course cut the top of the bag open, revealing the rotting face of an actual human corpse inside the bag. We all put our hands over our mouths in disgust, wanting to throw up. And of course, there was no audience of kids and parents to see what was going on. It became a huge scene. Mike called the cops, and their whole front yard literally became a crime scene with people gathering from all over to watch, even though the cops kept telling everyone to clear out. The body was taken
Oh,
away.
thank you.
I told the police that my dog Bear was barking last night at like 4 a.m., and he may have been barking at whoever dumped the body
I'm a
there.
slutty
Mike told
schoolgirl.
my dad a week later
that
that
too
the body turned out to be a
controversial?
local 30-something-year-old guy who had taken his own life. As for who dropped the body there or why, that's unclear. Mike and Donna are very likable people, so we all think it was somebody who just looked at them as some rich, snobby household that overdoes it with the decorations for attention. Obviously, there are some sick people out there. I'm a single 24-year-old female living alone in my grandma's house. The house was basically left to me
I'm
after she
going out
passed
this
away
weekend
because my
instead of
mom didn't want
next,
to
because
sell
next
it, and she
weekend
also
is
doesn't want to
technically
move out of her
November,
house.
even
So I get to
though
stay in my grandma's house
it's a couple
alone.
days after
This was
Halloween.
last year
I don't
Halloween.
know.
My
It felt
first
better
one
to go
living in
out
the house
tonight,
alone.
to
I
me.
considered just leaving a bowl of candies on the stoop, but I figured that was not the best way to associate a friendly
Okay.
face to the house that I was new to living in. The day went pretty normally. Halloween was on a Sunday, so the trick-or-treaters started coming early on in the day, and it
Do it look
continued all
pretty?
day. Some people asked if my grandma was
Aw,
home,
thank you, Shrek
sadly
the
unaware
Third. I
that
love
she
you
had passed
too.
away. I explained to those
You know, I
people
was
that I'm her
actually talking
granddaughter
the other
and that I
day.
live here
I
now.
really want to
My
rewatch
grandma
all
was a
the
very
Shrek
loved
movies.
lady, so it was no
In
shock
middle
to me how many
school, I
people
kind
asked
of
about
got
her that
fucked
day.
on,
Mostly everyone
because
who
like
knocked on the door was very friendly and
all
normal.
through elementary school,
Later on
loved
that
Shrek,
night,
and
past
then got
9
to sixth
o'clock, when the
grade, and Shrek
trick-or-treaters
is
had
Love,
dwindled
Shrek
down
is
almost
Life came out,
completely, I heard a voice
and
outside the
it
front
kind
door
of fucked
say
me up a little
trick-or-treat.
bit.
No knocking or ringing the doorbell. I was in the kitchen, so I definitely would have heard any knocking, but
So
it did seem possible that he thought
I'm
he pressed
grown
the
now though.
doorbell
I
but
think
didn't.
I can get
When I went
past.
out to
I know
greet him,
Shrek is
I saw
Love,
it was
Shrek is
this
Life
average
isn't
height guy
real.
in a purple suit and creepy plastic mask.
He can't
I
hurt
don't really know
me.
what the costume was supposed to be, but it was interesting, I guess. When I opened the door, he said trick or treat again, but the strange thing was I could tell the guy was a bit older, like a full-grown adult, and he was changing his voice to be a little higher pitched, like he was trying to sound younger. It was strange. I assumed he may have had some issues, so whatever. I asked him what his costume was supposed to be, but
I'm
he
not
didn't
going to a
answer. He
Halloween
just made eye
party. I'm
contact
going
through
to
his
the
mask.
bars
I took
with
2 pieces of candy and
a
dropped it in
couple
his
of my
pillow sack he was
friends.
holding, which
So it's
looked
not
completely
necessarily
empty.
like a Halloween
That was the
party.
part that weirded me out the most. He looked into the
I'm
sack,
just going
then
dressed
back at
up to the
me.
bar.
I said have a good night and closed the door. That was weird. He was the last trick-or-treater of the night. I wondered if he was accompanied by anybody watching over him,
I feel like I'm
because I
doing
assumed
these
he was
rollers
special
wrong.
needs or something. He was clearly a 30-something-year-old man behind that mask.
I think I should
The
have
rest of the
made
candies
this
I
one go
just
to the
left on the
back.
dining
I
room
might
table.
redo it.
Halloween was over.
I think I need to
Or
redo it.
so I thought. The next night, around the same time as the previous
Shrek's
night,
really good.
I heard a loud
visited
trick-or-treat
a
at the front
family
door.
member.
That same creepy,
Maybe
fake,
I shouldn't say
high-pitched
this.
voice.
I had
I
visited
had to
a
have
family
imagined
member
it,
in
I
jail
thought.
whenever I was a
But
kid.
when I went to check through the
And
peephole in the door, it was him again,
I remember
in
it
the
was
same
around the
costume.
holidays, and
And
it
by
was
the
one
looks
of
of
my
it, he had an
fondest
equally
memories.
empty pillow
I had
sack as the
just
night
got for
before.
Christmas
I didn't open the door. No
a
shot in
portable
hell.
DVD
A
player,
few minutes later, I heard him shout
and
trick-or-treat again.
I also
I
got the
ignored it.
Shrek
In
holiday
fact, I
movie.
shut off the
And
living
I
room
don't know
lights
if it
to
was where I
basically
was just
say,
excited
hey,
or
get off
what,
my
but I
stoop, I'm
remember
not
the
answering
Shrek
the
holiday
door.
movie being
I went
really
upstairs
good.
to my room and shut the door and started
Yeah,
watching
that looks
TV
more
in there
right. We gotta
instead.
redo this one.
Out of sight, out of mind. Until I heard a pop at my window. Something was thrown at it, like a rock.
Oh god, one of
I
these
muted
is
the
falling.
volume on the TV, and a few seconds later, I heard the familiar trick-or-treat. I suddenly was in panic mode. Why was he doing this? I went to the window, lifted it up, and
What
looked
exactly
down.
happened in Shrek
That
2
man in
again?
the purple suit and mask was looking up at me. I threatened him with calling the police. In response, he very slowly lifted his empty-looking pillow sack up and held it open. It seemed he was some asshole trying to scare me, but Halloween was over, and I wasn't amused. I called 911, and police showed up in under 10 minutes.
Okay.
The guy was still outside. He refused to talk to them. So they put him in handcuffs and took his mask off. And as
Guys,
I figured,
I don't think
it was
these
some
are right.
creepy-looking 30-something-year-old guy. They told me they were bringing him down to the station, but apparently they let him out within 48 hours, because
I'm
2
gonna
nights
look up
later,
Shrek.
he came back to my house, this time at the
Movie
backyard door.
recaps.
He never knocked or rang the bell. He'd just stand outside with his empty sack and costume, creepily yelling trick or treat. I called the police again and told them he's back, and once again the police came and arrested him. I swear to God, a week later the man had returned once again, throwing a
Shrek
rock
got
at my
turned
window.
into a human and
This
Puss in
time when I
Boots.
called
Yes,
911,
that
he seemed to actually
was
disappear
that was
before
so
the police
good.
had
Is that
gotten
where
there. But regardless, it seemed the police didn't really care to do anything.
Why can't
Either
I
that or
remember
they
what
couldn't.
exactly happened in the first
Luckily, I
Shrek
think the
movie
man
now?
lost interest because he hasn't
Is the
returned
second one
since
really
then.
that good?
At least as far as I know, unless he's
Because
been
what
hiding in my
happened in the
bushes
first
watching
one?
me, which is disturbing to imagine. Halloween is coming up, and I'm kind of nervous he's gonna come back.
Oh my god, yeah, handsome Shrek. Okay, I gotta find a video of somebody giving me a movie
I was
recap.
10
Did y'all
years
see
old in
the
5th grade.
original
I was
Shrek?
planning on going trick-or-
What it was supposed to be? Hold on, let me minimize my screen. Did y'all ever see this? This was like the OG Shrek that didn't get released, but like a test run or something. Apparently, if you worked for whatever movie company this was, and like you did shitty, they would put you on the Shrek project as like a punishment, and then it eventually succeeded. I probably shouldn't have played that because I don't want to get a copyright fucking claim. No, yeah, he looked awful there. For sure. Oh my gosh, yeah, the dragon. The dragon was bad. Donkey was having to put in some work. Oh my gosh, next year. Who wants to be Donkey and I'm the dragon? That is so good, honestly. Is no one just talking about it and summarizing it? No, I'm not Cindy Lou. I'm fucking a schoolgirl. I'm an of age schoolgirl. Everything wrong with Shrek, the third in 16 minutes or less. God, I need a fucking speech class, honestly. But there's a Cinema Sins video on Shrek the Third. I've not watched any of those videos. Honestly, I think one of my exes watched those is how I know about those. Yeah, Shrek the Third, they he reviewed you. Okay, this one's just called the Shrek movies. It says I've watched half of this. I do not believe that.
Come check us out at C2E2 August 5th through 7th. Hope to see you there.
Is this guy good?
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic guy. Remember it so you
Oh,
don't
there's
have
14 of you guys watching. Thanks, guys.
to. Guess I'm on a Mike Myers kick. Yeah, I know. Another YouTube critic talking about how amazing and groundbreaking Shrek is. How original. This film has been praised left and right over the
this is
years
what
and has
we're
become
watching
such a
while I
part
get
of
ready.
pop culture. It still turns out merchandise, memes, and everyone seems to say most animated films nowadays owe a lot to either Toy Story or this. Whether it be the animation, dialogue, jokes, moral, story, almost every CG film has something that traces back to the style of one of these two films. So, what the hell can I say about this movie and its sequels over 20 years after its release in 2001? Well, how about
Oh my god.
I don't really get into this film.
That is
However,
so
that
hot.
has changed a little bit over time.
God.
A little.
That is so
I wanted to bring the
hot.
point of view of someone who did not fall in love with the first movie, but over time acknowledged there is an importance to it. The film was one of the earliest animated features from DreamWorks. Even Shrek's theme is still played whenever you see the DreamWorks
It's
animation
burning my
logo.
fingers.
She waited in the dragon's keep, in the highest room.
Oh my god, I love Shrek. This is making me nostalgic.
It stars Mike Myers as a gross-loving ogre teamed up with a fast-talking donkey played by Eddie Murphy, performing the task of saving a princess played by Cameron Diaz, for a selfish king played by John Lithgow, and in return having a bunch of fairy tale characters removed from his swamp.
Attention all fairy tale things. Do not get comfortable.
So I guess I'll start with what I didn't like about the film, what I do like about the film, and despite my thoughts, what relevance it has on today's culture. And after that, I'll move on to the other films to see if they had the same
I know.
effect. So first off, let me
I'm
say,
doing my
I was
best.
one of the few people that was legit excited to see this movie. Everyone complained how the trailers looked really lame and it was gonna be nothing but fart jokes, but I could tell by the attitude of how it looked and how it sounded that there was gonna be a bit more bite to it. So, while a lot of people were surprised it had as much of an edge as it did, I was surprised it didn't have even more. I guess my first thought was this was going to be like The Simpsons telling a fairy tale. A very self-aware, self-satirizing, mean, and adult take on what we grew up with. Think what Disenchantment would become. When I saw the film, I definitely got elements of that, but not as much as I was hoping. I guess I just didn't think
Is
a
this
lot of
guy
these jokes were
reviewing
that
it as an
funny.
adult? Because
I love
you
hearing
need to
Eddie
be a
Murphy
kid to
talk,
watch
but I'm
this.
never hearing any good writing out of him.
And if you don't mind me saying, if that don't work, your breath certainly will get the job done, cause you definitely need some Tic Tacs or something, cause your breath stinks!
Myers is the same. I feel like it's just his Scottish shtick, which I want to laugh at, but it's just not giving me any material to latch onto.
Don't do that!
This?
Yes, that!
Yes? Yes, do it. Okay.
Ah!
I had a similar experience with the witches from Hocus Pocus or Jim Carrey from the first Sonic the
God,
Hedgehog
I
movie.
hated
Their
Hocus
funny
Pocus. Did you
performances,
guys
just
like that?
not saying funny things.
I never liked
Why
Hocus
is Donkey
Pocus.
finding out the dragon is female and charming her that great?
Not emotionally ready for a
I
commitment
don't like
of,
these hot
this,
rollers. I might return
magnitude.
them. I might sell them
Really.
online.
Really.
I'd rather
Magnitude.
curl my hair.
Why is Shrek
This is taking
explaining
so
how an
long.
onion has
And
layers?
I know
That
it's gonna look like
hilarious?
shit.
Ogres are like onions. End of story. Bye-bye. See you later.
Why is Fiona saying there's an arrow in your butt such amazing material?
It was just...
That was romantic though. Guys, he's criticizing the wrong
I've
things.
seen this movie so many times because people always say I'm missing something with the
I
humor.
was told
And all
Hocus
these years
Pocus was
later,
so
most of
good,
it just
so I
never
watched
grabbed
it.
me.
It fucking
Now that's not to say
sucks.
nothing is funny, but we'll get to that
It's
in a bit.
not funny. I
At
didn't
least the
laugh
cynical
one
world and
time.
offbeat
I can't
characters could stand out.
remember
And
even
yeah,
what
they do
fucking
for a
happened 'cause it
time.
was so
It loses me again though
boring.
when it tries to act like it's giving this heartbreaking romance that's
Focus
just the
sucks,
usual
guys.
third act breakup with no laughs. There's absolutely nothing new to it, yet they're acting like they're giving us something
Don't
new.
let your mom
If
and
it
your
was something
fucking
that was
aunts make
really
a movie,
interesting,
it's
like a
good.
relationship issue people could identify with, honestly a little bit more like in the later films, I'd be okay.
Hocus
But
Pocus is for
the
Disney adults.
mishearing of what the other says, confusing them for not loving each other, God, I hate these.
I heard enough last night.
You heard what I said?
Every word. Who could love a hideous, ugly beast?
Yeah, let's see him sulk. This is really gut-wrenching. I haven't seen this in a million other half-assed rom-coms. We just stay on them moping and doping for a while, and again, nothing funny or new is added. I don't follow why it's so emotional for so many people. I guess for a lot of audiences, they just accept
guy's
this as
making me
part of
mad
the
that he doesn't
course,
like
and
Shrek.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't understand. I mean, I have cliches I put up with to get to the stuff I really like. Sometimes those cliches are the things I really like. These, though, just push all the wrong buttons for me. Everyone has their pet peeves that are hard for them to look over. These cliches are some of mine. Okay, I've laid into what I don't enjoy about the film. Let me get to what I do, because there really is quite a
Oh
bit.
my god, I can't get
I don't want to give the
clip.
impression that I hate this movie, because there are so many good things in it. And the good things are whenever they try to do something different. When it goes dark, it goes mad dark. I remember seeing this with an audience and watching the scene where Fiona sings to a bird, and instead of tweeting along, she sings so
thank
loud
you,
she
whoever's
blows
sending
it
me
up.
little reactions
That's already
right now.
great, but then she looks down at the nest of eggs. Everyone in the audience was like, "Aw, is she gonna raise them?" Nope, she cooks them right up.
Oh my god,
That
I remember
is
that
some great
scene.
shit. The edgier moments
that
in the
looked
film are
good.
where it comes alive. The
I thought
gingerbread
all the
man
food
saying,
looked good.
"Eat me!" Blowing up innocent animals just for amusement. Even almost dropping a few swear words here and there.
I like an honest fight and a saucy little maid.
What he's basically saying is he likes to get
paid.
The look of the film is also very unconventional. It's both kind of pretty and kind of ugly at the same time. Disney famously goes out of its way to make everything as pretty as possible, but here, even the pretty stuff has something a little off about it.
They're in the
And I'm
swamp,
sure
brother.
that's intentional. Like, it's a fairy tale, but it's a very disturbed fairy tale. You can tell something's up. But probably the thing I like the most, the moral. How many times have you seen a Disney film where they say don't judge a book by its cover, and then the cover is changed? I love Disney, and most of us get the messages they're trying to get across, but they do renege on a lot of stuff. A sacrifice
God, this
isn't
is
always a
burning me.
sacrifice. Think you're too ugly to get the woman? You're right. But hey, believe hard enough and you can transform how you
Fiona
look.
when
Well,
she was,
here,
like,
the happy ending isn't both people
Fiona.
turning beautiful, it's both
Whenever
people
she was
turning
ogre
into
Fiona,
monsters. And they're okay with that.
Like,
I
why
remember
did it make
again when
her
I saw this
fat?
with an
Why
audience
couldn't
and the
she be
scene
skinny?
began.
Why,
Everyone
when she
around me was
an
kind
ogre,
of
she went
whispering,
fat?
it'd be kind of cool if she stayed an ogre, but they're like, nah, they wouldn't do that. But they stick the landing and stand by their message. And it's still a happy ending. It isn't the physical beauty that changes, it's the perception of it. And this gets to one of, honestly, a few reasons
Was
why
Laura
I think this film is still
Farquaad
relevant today.
Or is that the second
On
one?
top of the ending that doesn't cheat the audience, over time, I feel like there's more you can draw from it. There's been a lot explored in terms of identity in the past few decades, and when you see how Fiona acts with her love of, well, ogreish stuff Shrek loves, it makes sense her outside now represents how she feels on the inside. Like most good lessons, it's one that gets stronger the more you can connect it to both past and present predicaments. But on top of that, when this was released, PG had a little bit more of a bite to it. On that note, so many parents are showing their kids this movie thinking it's the same level as G movies that most PG movies have become. I've talked about this endlessly in the past, but this is a situation
Okay.
where it might work to everyone's
that?
advantage. This is, for lack of a better term, a
BGW.
hard
Is that
PG.
like BBW?
Sometimes it's even borderline PG-13. But everyone presents it as a kid's film because PG means practically G now. They show it along with
Yeah,
Disney and
Big Green-
Pixar
is
movies.
that-
In
does that
fact,
mean Big
I
Green?
think the understanding is kids kind of start with simple fairy tales of Disney,
That's
move on
pretty
to the more
good.
adult
like
ideas of
that.
Pixar, and then the meaner and more satirical humor of Shrek. Shrek is that movie I'm hearing more and more kids are shocked they're allowed to watch, and they're being shown it left and right. I think this is what Return to Oz or Secret of Nim was for me, except the adult elements isn't how scary it is, it's how quote-unquote inappropriate it is. Dick-sized jokes, animal cruelty jokes, countless innuendos.
That's why
There
it's
is a rite
good.
of passage to seeing a film like this as a child, but what makes it even more special is that it isn't just the humor that's more adult. It really is the message. The message is
gonna go
really
on
good, and I'm
Kit,
almost shocked it
and I'm
isn't
gonna
done more
watch
often.
all the
But
Shrek
part of
movies.
that is kids love buying their pretty merchandise, and in the end, the characters aren't pretty. But Shrek kind of changed the mold on that, as tons of Shrek toys, dolls, shirts, even people dressed up like the characters are still popular because everyone fell in love with them so much. Shrek went from what I thought was going to be a more adult-geared family film to a kid's film that has out-of-nowhere adult jokes. And I think that makes it even funnier to
Tony.
kids. Tonally, I
Calm it
guess it's a
down.
little inconsistent, but comedically, kids probably do laugh harder when they think they're being told a lesson, but a surprisingly dark joke is told at the same time. So
I have a
yes, even though a lot of it doesn't
serious
land with me, I can
actually,
see
guys.
the importance
I
of
thought
it
about
and
going
why
on
it's such a
Kick
good film
and
for
to,
kids to
like,
grow up with. It's the
start it
naughty
off,
Disney, the more cynical Disney, the Disney
do a
that says,
24
yeah, you
hour
know what,
stream
you
where I
are a
watch
monster. The
all-
monsters are cool, they're
not
not
all, as
boring, and
much of
maybe we all are in
George
some unique way.
Lopez as I
Still
can.
pessimistic, but kind of optimistic at the same
I want
time.
us all
And
to
in the end,
get
I
filled
think
in
that
on the
means a
George
lot more
Lopez
than whether
show
or not it made this
lore.
reviewer laugh.
Because I would wake up in the middle of the
remember?
night.
So you don't have to.
Because I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would like loosely follow the story of George Lopez between like sleeping. Like I know Carmen had to be like a little bit of a mess. She was running away at one point, but we need to get the whole George Lopez lore. So I will be streaming on Kick sometime in November. I would say. I doubt it'll be in October. We'll see.
Wait, shit, I still got 3 movies. See Doug play Guardians of the Galaxy Fridays at 6 p.m. Central Time on Twitch. We also got a new schedule and material 6 days a week. Hope to see you there.
I'm not gonna lie.
2 years
when
later
I was
in 2004,
elementary
Shrek
school,
2 was released.
I kind of had a
and I
crush
know you
on
might think
George
if I didn't
Lopez.
get into the first one, I probably wouldn't be able to get into this one.
I thought he was a good.
Actually,
like,
it's not only my favorite Shrek
family
film, but it
man.
is one of my favorite comedies of
like,
all time.
I need to get with somebody like
This
George
is what
Lopez
I
and
thought
he'll
the
take care of
first
me.
film was
'Cause he
going
had
to
a hot
be.
wife.
And while it arguably doesn't have as big a cultural impact as the first one, it's touching,
I feel like
clever,
once you give a
charming,
character a
and
hot
it is
wife, you
so
start to,
goddamn funny.
like,
They throw
assume
kid
that
jokes
they're
and
attractive,
adult
too.
jokes at you
Like how they
every
give
chance
Adam
they
Sandler a
can.
hot
In the
wife
foreground,
every
in the
time.
background, verbally,
That's the
visually,
only reason
and
why girls
all
think
of
he's
them
cute is
work
'cause
in
his
one
wife
way or
is
another.
portrayed as cute.
We got a white Bronco heading east into the forest, requesting backup.
I say we take the sword and neuter him right here. Give him the Bob Barker treatment.
We represent the workers in all magical industries, both evil and benign.
Someday I will repay you. Unless, of course, I can't find you or if I forget.
The story is Shrek and Fiona have to meet her parents, who don't yet know Fiona is still an ogre, and on top of that, she married an ogre. While trying to fight off her parents'
Yeah, he was
prejudice,
a
the
daddy
fairy
TBH.
godmother and her
He
son
got
Prince
shit done at the
Charming
end
were
of the day.
originally
He
slated
did.
to wed into the royal family,
And he
and
had
try
a
to find a
silly
way
little
to
friend,
still
Ernie.
make that happen. This leads
Ernie
to a
could never get
hitman
any
or
ass.
a cat
Oh, no,
being
this was
unleashed,
falling.
everybody getting transformed
We've
into
got to
beautiful
watch-
alter egos, and naturally people finding
We've
out
gotta
what really
watch,
matters to them and who they are. Putting
George
the humor
Lopez.
aside
I'm
for a
glad you
minute,
guys are on
everything
board.
flows as perfectly as it could in a movie like this. I love everybody in this flick. They are so
Oh my
much
God,
more
his
charming
mom was
and
crazy
likable
too.
to
It's
me.
all
I
coming
really
back
like
to me.
Shrek and Fiona as a couple in this one.
His
They're
son
kind of
was
like Gomez and
dyslexic.
Morticia. They
That
find
show
comfort in the
had so
things
much
many
depth.
don't find comfort in, and they have great chemistry. Donkey's writing finally matches his energy, with so many hilarious lines, but also a pretty fun rivalry between him and Puss in Boots, played by Antonio Banderas.
I know you're feeling bad, but you gotta let your own.
I watched the newest Puss in Boots movie.
Harry little licking sucker.
Yes, the evil plan is a little formulaic, but
Just
even when they're
because
being
I got taken on a
manipulated
date
in
there.
kind of a third act breakup,
And
you can still
it's
sympathize
honestly a
with
really
it.
good movie.
Shrek and Fiona want to see each other happy, and they're tricked into
you
thinking
wanna
they
watch a
will be
kids
if
movie,
they stay apart.
Watch that
I
one.
love her. If
Or if you know
really
like
love
an annoying kid in your life and you have to
You'll
watch
let
something with
her
them,
go.
that one's really
To me,
enjoyable.
that's much more telling and heartbreaking than just misunderstanding what the other said. They'll legit sacrifice their happiness for the others. And that's really pretty touching and makes the villains look even more evil. This film is also crazy creative. The different ways they get across
Did I
different
cry?
jokes
No.
and even action sequences is so outside the box
I
and
really
even
cry at
gets your
movies.
adrenaline up. I could watch the I Need a Hero song sequence a million
If you're,
times
like,
and
lovey
never get
type
bored
movies,
of it.
Maybe. Like I think I like The Notebook.
The new characters are great, the dilemmas are great.
I
Even
know
on the
men
rare
hate The
chance a
Notebook.
joke
Don't
doesn't get a
flame me on
hard
that.
laugh, it's still cute because it's always tied into something interesting or likable about these characters. I love when the bartender says, "Why the long face?" to the horse.
Hey, why the long face?
That's maybe one of the oldest and corniest jokes in existence, but Donkey gives a look like, cute. We're going through something here, but cute. If he didn't give that look, I don't think this would have worked. This movie has so much personality, so much energy, so much ingenuity, and so much better writing, it's one of the few flicks that comes dangerously close to being a perfect film for me. I could put it on right now knowing every
of the
joke that
movie
was
crier.
coming and still laugh my ass off. As well as feel
When I
legit
was
emotion
younger,
for the
like, in
characters too.
middle school
I
and
know I
stuff,
probably lost a lot of you with my
everybody
thoughts
would
on the
cry
first
at
film.
movies
Just
like
know
The
though
Fault
that
in
not
Our
only do I
Stars.
love the second one,
And
in
I
my
felt
opinion,
guilty 'cause
it's
I
a
didn't
comedic
cry.
masterpiece. And then, you know, this happened. In 2007, Shrek the Third was released, and while not a god-awful movie, it's definitely not a good one either. Shrek discovers not only that he's going to be a father, but also he might be king of Far, Far Away after Fiona's father passes. Desperate to escape his responsibilities, he tries to find another king in young Arthur, voiced by Justin Timberlake. Along the way, he warns up how to be a father while looking after him, but on top of that, evil forces from the past return to seize control. This is a film that, on paper, should work. All the pieces are there. It seems like this is the next logical step, but everything is just off. Not in a funny or clever way, just in an off way.
Well, somebody better be dying.
I'm dying.
The timing is off, the pacing is off, even the villain is kind of off. It's Prince Charming again. Yeah, every film has a unique villain except this one where they just repeat the previous one. Hell, half the previous ones. There are some good bits, like Eric Idle as the less than sensitive Merlin is pretty funny.
Proper head case you are, aren't you? Really messed up.
I cried to what? The Notebook.
The princesses using their dainty powers as a weapon isn't bad. And occasional moments like Pinocchio trying to double, triple, even quadruple talk to make it sound like he's not telling the truth.
You don't know where Shrek is?
Would it be inaccurate to assume that I couldn't exactly not say that is or isn't almost partially incorrect?
But for the most part, it just feels like an obligation movie. In Shrek 2, everything felt upped. There was a passion and even a thankfulness that the first movie was such a hit, so they went out of their way to make the funniest, heartfelt, but still edgiest comedy a family film would allow. This feels like they're just doing the third one. We have a franchise now. What do people want to see as opposed to what do we want to make? It got a couple laughs, but it felt soulless. And whatever you thought of the first two, you definitely couldn't say they were soulless. While the film still did well at the box office, nobody was really repeating any of the lines or talking about any of the scenes they just watched. Which is probably why the series ended on a better, but still not that great note in 2010's Shrek Forever After. This is probably the most okay out of the series. It's not insulting, but it's not hilarious. It's just another Shrek sequel. But I will say, you can feel them trying to get the original magic back.
Oh, you need
Shrek
to...
is getting sick of his daily routine being interrupted by
though, on any streaming platform, they've changed it. I have the DVD version, and I remembered this version, too. That's how it came out. But they've changed the ending on the Notebook. So, the original ending on the movie, I shouldn't tell you how it ends. It ends sad. And in like the Netflix or whatever streaming, whatever version, there's like a very last scene that's like super like sad downer moment, and they cut it and they leave it like ambiguous instead. That's all I'll say. Okay, go ahead. You'll never watch it. Okay, so they die at the end. The couple, they die. And in the DVD version, it's the two laying there like holding each other. They died the same night. But in the Netflix version, right before it cuts to like their dead bodies, there's like birds flying away. It just ends with the birds on Netflix so that you don't really know what happens. But on the DVD version, it's two dead old people laying there. And I like it better like that. It hits harder. I'd rather, know what the fuck happened. Anyway.
Fatherhood. So he makes a deal with the schemer Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, you can look it up. He says he'll give him a
day of relaxation if he can erase one day from his life.
It on something
Having
like
clearly never read anything in his
DVD,
life, he just trusts him and doesn't see any tricks to it.
And
he
I had to look
accepts his
it up to
offer,
make sure
and
it
Rumpel
wasn't
erases the
Mandela
day
effect.
he was born, resulting in the future being ruined for many as he becomes king. Shrek teams up with an army of rebel ogres led by Fiona and obviously comes to grips with how good he had it all along. My biggest gripe is despite how sympathetic we are to Shrek losing his free time, he is way too mean to Fiona in the opening, saying he wishes he never saved her from the tower or had kids.
Back when the world made sense.
Back before you rescued me from the Dragon's Keep.
Exactly.
Ooh,
That's
Shrek.
probably the biggest hurdle the film has because it's very hard to root for him after that. With that said, the jokes are better. The different ways people are affected by Shrek's absence are familiar, but still pretty humorous.
What are you doing?
Collecting my bounty!
What are you talking about, Cracker?
Even some of the action is creative, like the ogre is trying to fight the Pied Piper while being forced to dance to his flute. You can definitely feel the effort, but it's pretty impossible not to just see this as another film in a franchise. There was always a feeling the first two movies were doing something new and exciting, and this one, while better than the previous, is just kind of doing what's been set up as the Shrek formula now. Shrek has an issue with his family life. He'll learn to be thankful for what he has. Puss in Boots has to do the big eye thing. Some spell transforms something and comedic consequences ensue. It's not bad, but it's not special anymore. Apparently everyone thought the same thing because they haven't made another film since. And honestly, they don't have to. Even someone like me who's not in love with the original acknowledges the positive impact it's had. And even then, I did find a Shrek film I fell in love with. It was just off by one. It's always rumored there's gonna be another one, but I don't know if people really want to see that. While the fourth one isn't great, it's a better send-off than the third one, and the first two won over so many, we don't need the table scraps. It's kind of funny to think these raunchy, mean, kind of twisted movies are developing so many kids who are growing up right now.
Shrek 5 is coming out?
I really do see that more as a positive than a negative. I like that they're the kids' films that both children and adults can come together on and say, we know you shouldn't be watching this, but we're gonna show it to you anyway. There's something special watching something that feels a little naughty compared to other kids' stuff, but still makes you laugh and even teaches you something rather important. There is surprisingly a long-lasting power to them. And as long as parents and kids understand, that inappropriate joke is okay, it's Shrek. Maybe it really is okay. Maybe even a lot better than okay. I'm the nostalgia critic guy, remember? So you don't have to.
What are you talking about, Cracker?
Aw, that was cute. Okay, we're gonna stay on this guy's, wait, just kidding. Wait, no. Yeah, we're gonna stay on this guy's channel. They should end Shrek 5 with Shrek and Fiona dying together and then cut it for the next Netflix release. Yeah, I'm gonna, hold on, just in case I've got anything crazy in my history, I'm going to search that. The Notebook movie ending. Yeah, here it fucking is.
Hi. I'm sorry.
To do. I was afraid you were never coming back.
Okay.
For anything.
I'll be.
Think.
That's what.
Okay, she's basically being like, do you think if our love was strong enough to bring us together, do you think we could, you know, die together? Anywho, okay. Okay, yeah, here we go.
La 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 da 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 ba-da.
I would not touch my face after touching two dead people, number one. That was crazy. Oh, so sad. There they are. Okay. I love The Notebook. People shit on The Notebook, and sorry I spoiled that for you, but you need to watch it. Um, Okay, yeah, we need to watch something Halloween.
One Halloween night in 2013, a babysitter and the kids she's watching return home from trick-or-treating and discover a mysterious VHS tape mixed in with their Halloween candy. The VHS tape contains 3 different short films with one common element. Each of them features a character that goes by Art the Clown. The first short is called The Ninth Circle, and the first time we see Art the Clown, he's creepily smiling at the camera in a montage where he's just one creepy clown amongst many demons, shadowy figures, and whatever this is. The first time we see Art in action, he appears seemingly out of nowhere to harass a young woman waiting for her train in Realmsville Station. The woman ignores Art, but as we will come to learn, Art the Clown isn't someone who can be easily ignored. He literally carries a bag of tricks around with him to get people's attention. After politely asking him to stop, she decides to ignore him, so he saddles up next to her and hands her a flower, which is crawling with bugs. Her terror makes Art laugh hysterically, but also silently. Then, as she tries to run away, Art injects her with a sedative and takes her prisoner. The horn honking, the silent laughter, and the involuntary injections will remain some of Art's signature moves throughout his existence, but there's a huge difference in this short compared to everything that follows. Here, Art is literally working on behalf of the devil. His victim wakes up alongside 2 other women in a dungeon filled with the aforementioned demons and hideous creatures. So, is Art a demon? It would seem so here, but later on, there are also indications that he might be a disturbed human gifted with some supernatural abilities. He feels pain, and he does die, albeit temporarily. The VHS tape that appears in Little Timmy's Trick-or-Treating Hall is an anthology, which means that 3 separate, semi-amateur filmmakers made short films that incorporated Art the Clown. If this is true, then he must be something of an urban legend in this world. He's a known entity, or a myth that people know about. So then who or what is Art the Clown? How can I analyze the history of a character who is left intentionally obtuse? We don't know where he comes from or what he's motivated by because he never speaks. He's just a horrendously violent, sometimes goofy clown who hides behind his face paint. Even he does not seem entirely sure what he's capable of. Lucky for me, I've analyzed a horror villain just like this before. Art isn't the first brutally violent, mysterious, and mute serial killer with an obscured face. That would be the original slasher, Michael Myers. In fact, Myers was also something of an urban legend in his town, where local children referred to him as the Boogeyman. But as we dig further into the Art the Clown character, you'll see that the similarities between Art and Michael go deeper than general mannerisms and overall perception. I think Art the Clown could be a Michael Myers for a new generation. To find out how, stick around to the end of this video. This video is sponsored by Factor.
I need to actually do like a tutorial.
Welcome to Horror History, where you'll find fun little surprises in every bite. Today we are discussing Art the Clown from the Terrifier franchise. Art the Clown has evolved quite a bit over the years. Damien Leone, the creator of Art the Clown and the director of the Terrifier movies, claims that the idea for Art started with a creepy scene that he envisioned between a woman and a clown on a crowded bus. In this imagined scene, the rest of the passengers gradually exit the bus, leaving the clown alone to terrorize the woman. This idea evolved into the scene in the train station that we just talked about from The Ninth Circle. The Ninth Circle is not only the first short film featured in All Hallows Eve, it's also the first short film that Damien Leone made that featured Art the Clown back in 2008. Leone described his approach. I threw in everything. Clowns, witches, demons, monsters, everything up against the wall, hoping something would stick. Art the Clown certainly stuck, but if we want to understand what made him stand out, we should understand his inception. Leone has stated in interviews that he was very aware of Pennywise when he created Art the Clown. Leone knew he couldn't top Stephen King at Pennywise's particular brand of creepy clown, so he created Art to be the polar opposite. Pennywise has hair and round features, while Art is bald with gaunt features. Pennywise is colorful, Art is black and white. Pennywise speaks, Art does not. Pennywise doesn't use weapons, but Art will use any weapons he can get his hands on. Instead of copying him, he used Pennywise as a sort of anti-inspiration. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't any similarities between Art the Clown and Pennywise. There is a hitchhiker scene in Leone's 2011 Terrifier short film that reminds me a lot of the scene from the first It movie where Pennywise flags down a driver and asks,
sweet.
"Don't you want it?" And there's even one scene where Art's eyes glow white, very reminiscent of Pennywise's deadlights. Whether intentional or not, there certainly is some crossover between these evil clowns. As far as appearances are concerned, Leone claims that Art the Clown's look was also partially inspired by a clown that appeared in his favorite TV show, The Twilight Zone, in an episode called 5 Characters in Search of an Exit. This clown doesn't chop anyone's limbs off, but he definitely looks somewhat similar to Art. Thankfully, Leone stopped short of giving Art a flower pot for a hat, but he does later try on these very stylish
Don't tell anybody that little
Audiences
secret.
wanted more Art the Clown after The Ninth Circle, so Leone put him at the center of his 2011 short film, Terrifier. Leone put the short on YouTube where it got noticed by producer Jesse Badgett, who convinced Leone to put the Ninth Circle and the Terrifier shorts together with one other short in a horror anthology that eventually became All Hallows Eve. Art the Clown is the glue that holds All Hallows Eve together. His brutal acts of violence combined with Leone's expertise in special effects makeup helped the film stand out and garner demand for the feature-length Terrifier in 2016. This was one story, and it was Art's story from top to bottom, or I guess more appropriately, from bottom to top. If you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. The myth of Art the Clown continued to grow along with Leone's budget, and in 2022, Terrifier 2 really put Art the Clown and the entire franchise on the map. There's now a third Terrifier in the works, and Art has begun to pop up in popular culture. They've put his face on ugly Christmas sweaters, and he even made a cameo appearance on Pete Davidson's show Bupkis. Art the Clown went from being an underground YouTube slasher to sharing an IMDb page with Edie Falco and Joe Pesci in the span of a decade. I think the secret to Art's growing popularity is the simplicity of the character. He's a creepy, horrendously violent clown dressed in black and white. We don't know much about him. He's a blank slate of a mute monster that only comes out on Halloween, putting him in the same camp as Michael Myers from the Halloween franchise. We don't know much about Michael Myers except for the fact that he's the antagonizing force in Laurie Strode's life. However, it's this open-ended brand of evil that makes Michael versatile enough to tell a variety of different stories over the years. Halloween 2 is about dreams and nightmares. H2O is about avoidance and facing one's fears, and the most recent trilogy is about intergenerational trauma. If you attach too many specifics to a character like Michael Myers, it would limit the kinds of stories that could be told around him. Instead, his most defining characteristic is that he's brutal and evil, much like Art the Clown. Storytellers have done this for years. Before Michael Myers, characters like Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Invisible Man were used to tell all sorts of stories that reflected the culture of their time periods. Outside of horror, there are characters like Mickey Mouse. The audience hardly knows anything about Mickey except for the fact that he's a friendly mouse that somehow owns a dog and has a girlfriend. Or is it wife? See, we don't even know that for sure. This allows Disney to do whatever they want with Mickey. He can star in Steamboat Willie, he can be used to tell a classic story like The Three Musketeers, or he can be the centerpiece of something more experimental like Fantasia. Mickey Mouse is simply a delivery system for happy stories, the same way that Art the Clown is a delivery system for hyper-violence. See, they're the same. Mickey equal Art the Clown. So with all of this in mind, let's dig in and go over everything we do know about Art the Clown to start to unravel some of his mysteries.
I have a YouTube channel recommendation.
We've got to take it back to Halloween Nights 2013 and the rest of the content on that mysterious VHS.
HRH collection. She's so funny. She has so many haters though.
Art the Clown appears in all three of the short films
also,
on the
Terrifier
VHS
3 got
and he
leaked.
slowly makes his appearance known
I need
in
to
the
watch
home
the
of the two
first
kids,
one.
Tia and Timmy, much
I've
to the
literally
horror of
only
their
watched the
babysitter,
second
Sarah.
one.
We've already covered most of what Art does to the woman on the train platform in the Ninth Circle, but there are a few more things that I want to point out. First, in this short, Art looks a little different. We can actually see the skin of his neck between his mask and his costume. This could be a minor thing or an oversight, but it does make Art initially seem more human. Art doesn't seem human for very long. Right after he injects the woman with a sedative that knocks her out, Art appears in a more demon-like form with lit-up eyes, the first and last time that we see him this way. After the scene on the train platform, Art doesn't show up again until the very end of the film, when he honks his horn yet again. Everything that takes place in the Ninth Circle, between the glowing eyes and the flashback to the horn honking, seems to take place in hell. This makes sense because the Ninth Circle is a reference to Dante's Inferno, which is essentially a journey through the 9 circles of hell, with the Ninth Circle being the deepest level where the devil resides. The devil actually makes an appearance and drinks the blood of a fetus in the short film. This begs the question, is Art the Clown a demon? If you only saw Art in this very first short film, you'd probably think so. There are allusions to angels and demons later on in Art's timeline, but overall, this direct line to the devil is mostly abandoned. The connection to the devil, the glowing eyes, the imperfect costume, and the fact that Art is played by a different actor in these short films can all be chalked up to artistic license.
She's so
Remember,
funny,
the
though.
character in these shorts isn't literally the Art the Clown. They're just interpretations of the idea of Art the Clown, a character from urban legends. So the idea that Art is demonic could merely be a theory by this filmmaker.
See, it's just
That's
a
like her whole thing.
Let's watch it.
Yes, that's me.
Okay, so in
that's
her videos, she just
also worth
rants
noting,
about
Michael
stuff.
Myers was
and
also
like,
interpreted to have
whenever
a
I
cult
say
origin
like,
in Halloween, The Curse
you
of
know
Michael
how you'll
Myers. The
think
premise of
something,
this chapter
but
in the
be
Michael
like, I
Myers
can't
story is
say
that Michael
that.
was cursed as an infant by the
She
demonic
says,
cult of Thorn,
like,
and that's why he must kill
everything
his
she
own family.
thinks,
This wasn't a
and
popular
she's
storyline, so that
so
aspect was not included in future
silly.
timelines.
Like, she'll
Art's
straight
direct
up
link to
say
the
she
devil is
doesn't
also
care
de-emphasized
if she
as the story
gets
progresses.
in
He's
trouble
evil
on
enough without the
YouTube.
devil, and as we're about to find out,
And
he's got
yeah,
plenty of
it's
paranormal
very
and
silly.
supernatural abilities of his own.
I love her. She calls the people her haters rats. So
It's the
you'll see
most
a lot of
wonderful
comments of
time
people
the
being
year.
like, the
It's
rats
Halloween
are here.
season, which means it's also the most wonderful time of year in terms of food.
She's so
Thanks in part to
goofy.
my sponsor, Factor, for bringing those fall flavors. For a limited time only, you can
She
get
is
seasonal
based.
favorites like the cranberry pecan chicken and apple Dijon pork chop. Just hearing
If
that is
men
making me
watched
so hungry.
HRH
I might have to
Collection,
stop
they
doing
would
these
love
ads
her.
because they make me so hungry.
But
Factor also
she only
offers
has,
gourmet
like,
plus meals as part of your weekly
female
options whenever you're
viewers
craving something
that
special. I'm always
are very
impressed with how
judgy
they
of
never
her.
taste dry or tough after a trip through the
Oh,
microwave.
that's cute.
The meals are ready in just 2 minutes, so it's perfect when you're busy with Halloween festivities. Just
I should've
listen to one of their
unplugged
satisfied
this.
customers. It's me. I like it. I'm satisfied. Factor is now owned by HelloFresh, which I also use
Jet could
weekly.
never
It's honestly
what?
great to switch between the two. Head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code CZ50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. That's code CZ50 for 50% off, which if you didn't take math, that's half off. It's a good deal, so check it out in the description if you're interested. After Sarah decides that the kids have had enough freaky videotape for one night and
These are
sends them
actually
to bed,
cute.
the real Art proves that he's not limited to just the world of fiction by hiding in Tia's closet and freaking her out.
No, it's just make-believe. Demons, witches, monsters, that doesn't exist.
But he wasn't really a monster if you think about it. Like a vampire or a werewolf. He was just a man in a costume.
She's
Someone
silly
like that could
for
really
sure.
exist,
She just
right?
got a
like
Substack.
a serial killer.
And I watched
This
one
seems
of the, 'cause you have to
intentional.
pay
The
for it,
suggestion
and
that
I'm
Art
broke.
might be
I watched
human
one of the
actually makes him
videos somebody
scarier in the real
re-uploaded.
world. Sarah goes back downstairs to watch more of the
And
videotape,
it's just
and what I assume
crazy,
is the one
honestly,
house in
guys. Y'all
America
need
that
to
still
get
had a VCR
put
hooked up
on
in
to
2013.
HRH Collection.
I guess finding a DVD or
Like, I
Blu-ray in
think
your Halloween candy isn't nearly as creepy.
y'all are gonna
Maybe
not
Art would
believe
have
me,
reached
but
more
I
people with
swear,
the Blu-ray that just
if
comes
she
in a
met
VHS
Sam,
box like the Stranger Things.
they would get
physical
along.
releases. At least that
She
would
has, like,
explain
so
why we
many
have a
of, like,
VHS tape
the
displaying
same
video in
kinds of views.
widescreen. Anyways, the second short on the tape barely features Art the Clown at all. He's very much shoehorned into this story. Basically, at the beginning, a woman mentions her artist husband who painted a terrible face
You love
that earns him some
HRH?
attention in the
Yay,
art
thank
world.
God.
The husband claims that he must have been in some kind of trance when he painted the face because he doesn't remember doing it. Long story short, or rather, short
She's
film
the
even
best.
shorter, when the painting of the terrible face is revealed at the end, it's Art the Clown doing his signature smiling face. The whole painting feels a little bit forced, but it's worth talking about because it introduces a different kind of supernatural element to Art's character. Can Art the Clown possess people like a demon? Does he possess the
Oh,
minds of
God.
artists exclusively? Could this be why he's named Art in the first place? This might seem like a little bit of a
Some
stretch, but
poking
this
me in the
isn't the
eye.
last time that Art will torture the mind of an artist. Back in the real world, Sarah is disturbed by Art's smiling face and turns the movie off. She hears something upstairs and assumes it's the kids, but when she goes to check on them, Timmy
She
claims that
is
they've been in bed
hilarious.
the
I
whole
love
time
her.
and tells Sarah to stop
HRH
checking on them every
Collection,
5 minutes.
she would be perfect for Fishtank, like to go on there and just read everybody like a
Again,
freaking
we don't
book.
actually see Art
All
in
the
the house, but it's
contestants, like,
obvious
should be a
that he's
good
probably
freeloader.
lingering around, and Sarah
But I
starts to
know
get
she
freaked
would
out
not
herself.
stay very
if
long.
this terrified babysitter business seems familiar, it may be because Laurie Strode was babysitting Tommy Doyle and Lindsay
She'll tell
Wallace
you
when
she
she
doesn't
first
live in
encountered
squalor.
Michael Myers in Halloween. Sarah's curiosity outweighs her fright, however, because she goes back downstairs to watch more of the tape. The third and final short film is the Terrifier short film from 2011. It's finally Art
Okay,
the
I'm gonna
Clown's
have to
time to take
straighten
center stage.
just
The
a
first time we
little
see Art in the
part right
short,
here.
he's getting kicked out of a gas station for supposedly smearing piss and shit all over the wall.
Her
Not the last
reacting
time
to the
he would destroy a
TTS would
public
be
restroom,
so,
and he
like,
notices a
she
woman
would
filling up
be-
gas as he walks away.
She
Art
needs to
looks
be
slightly
on there,
different
like,
here
she
than he did in the Ninth
follows
Circle. His
whenever
neck is
I
no longer
followed
visible,
Alex
his mask is
Stein
longer and tied down with
from
a collar of
Fishtank.
sorts, and he's got a
She
more
was
pronounced
already
bump on his
following
nose.
him, and I
Leone
know she
said that
doesn't know
Art's
anything
new-looking
about
Terrifier was
Fishtank,
intended to make him look more zombie-like.
but she's a
and little
fan of
scary.
Alex
He also
Stein,
carries
so
a much larger
we really
garbage
need to
bag.
get her
A
on
little
there.
later, Art interrupts an interaction between the gas station attendant and the woman, who we learn is a costume designer. Art lures the attendant back inside the gas station to dismember
So it
and
kind
kill
of
him.
creased
He's about
parts of
halfway
my
through
hair at the
beheading the guy
top,
when
and
the
I need to
costume designer
straighten
stumbles
over
into the
that.
scene and freaks out. And
Other
here it
than
is,
that-
Art the Clown's very first documented act of horrific violence.
Do I look like a Southern queen?
Keeping up with our Michael Myers comparison, let's
With
look
my
back at
hot
his first
roller
murder as well.
curled hair?
It also took place on Halloween, and
It's not
Michael was
perfect.
wearing
I'm
a clown
gonna sell
costume,
this.
perhaps the most direct link
I'm gonna
between the
sell
two
my hot
characters.
rollers.
The woman
I don't
speeds
like
away in
that.
her car and makes a frantic 911 call when she sees Art on the side of the road with a sign that says circus.
These are getting sold.
She's right, that would be impossible, and this is her first piece of evidence that Art possesses supernatural abilities, in this case, teleportation. After nearly crashing her car in panic, Art appears again, but apparently his supernatural abilities don't include
Thank you.
opening locked car doors.
Okay, let me plug in my straightener now. We're just a couple of girls getting ready, guys.
Art must have taken another victim
I've
earlier
missed
that night
streaming,
because
I'm
the
not gonna
costume girl
lie.
comes across
I
another
wish there was a
motorist
way
who
I
is
could
dismembered
figure out
and defaced,
how to do
literally.
TTS.
The faceless driver looks very
I'd
similar to
literally
some of the
charge
witches
fucking
featured in the
25
Ninth
cents
Circle, though I
for
don't
it.
necessarily think
But
the
if I could
filmmakers
figure
are
out
trying to say
some
that Art's
program to
victims
use
are
to
banished to
do
the hell depicted in the
TTS,
Ninth Circle. The costume designer drives away yet again, but little does she know, Art the Clown has stowed away in the back seat of her car.
Because I missed that. That was like my favorite part.
To check on the other car.
Was the
Not
TTS.
But one thing is for sure, Art's attempt to suffocate the costume designer by pulling saran wrap around her face is a dumb one. She punctures a hole in the saran wrap and slams on the brakes, sending Art flying headfirst into the dashboard. Art is stunned, giving her time to find a brief refuge in the woods, locking herself in an old barn. We know Art is no match for a locked door, but that doesn't mean he can't find other means of entry. Art emerges from the ground and attacks the costume designer with what would become one of his favorite weapons, a bunch of sharp objects attached to a chain. However, the chain breaks faster than a Breath of the Wild weapon, and as Art struggles with it, the costume designer grabs a small blade and sticks it in his eye before jamming a knife in his back. She escapes and manages to flag down a vehicle driven by a young man with a face. Art rises from the ground and with a knife still in his back, chases after her in a car of his own. He's a surprisingly skilled driver. He pulls up next to them and shoots the driver in the head, all while silently laughing at what he's done. Art's use of a firearm is a departure from what you'd normally expect from a slasher. Michael Myers used a variety of weapons, but never a gun. Leone has stated in interviews that his choice to allow Art the Clown to use guns is a deliberate one. It's part of his larger mission to continually break the rules and expectations with Art in order to keep him unpredictable. And it certainly seems to have caught his victim by surprise. She careens off the road into a tree, and Art takes her back to his lair, where she wakes up on a surgical table to find that he's been hard at work mutilating her body. He points and laughs at her as she discovers that her limbs and breasts have been removed and several words have been carved into her, like pig and many others that may rhyme with punt,
okay, guys, what do we think?
And this is where the
Halloween, get ready with me.
So what do we learn about Art here? We know he has some supernatural abilities and that locked doors are a weakness for him. He killed 2 men and a faceless third person whose gender we can't say for sure.
Okay, well, that's probably gonna be it. I need to head on to my friend's house, but thank you guys for joining. Yeah, rewatch this a million times. And fit check. 1 second. I'll give you a fit check. Y'all make sure to join my Discord. It's on my Instagram. So, fit check. Schoolgirl vibes. I have on shorts underneath this. They won't get me. Okay, guys. Well, I'm headed out. Thanks for sitting with me while I get ready.